The Big Mountain has a Pac-12 update, including the TV deal, Calimony, and affiliate membership for Washington State.
College football is always in the news, so we're back on the Big Mountain to bring you a little update on the Pac-12.
Hey, how you doing again? I'm JY. This is my good friend Steve. Steve, I have said from, the beginning, I want to do a Pac-12 update every 2 weeks, and we're a smidgen beyond 2 weeks, so forgive us. But we also don't like to put an episode out just for clicks. We want to have actually some stuff to talk about, and we have some things we want to talk about. The first one is the TV deal, which is still not finalized yet, at least from when we're recording this on Sunday evening. I know we're not going to get this out until Tuesday, so maybe between now and then it does get finalized. But still hearing some more rumors and reporting of what this is going to look like, so we're defining this a little bit better. I want to talk about that first. So the CW, unsurprisingly, is going to carry most of the games. We're hearing 10 right now. But Fox is actually picking up a few games as well. So I thought that was great to hear that Fox is going to be picking up 3. Apparently those are the Civil War, which is Oregon State versus Oregon on September 14th. The Washington State versus Texas Tech game. That's in Pullman. Okay. And that's on September 7th. And then the third one, of course, is the only Pac-12 game that will be played in the fall. That's the Beavs and the Cougs on November 23rd at Research Stadium. So those apparently are the 3 that will be picked up on Fox. Right now, I guess from what I'm seeing, a little bit of the reporting, this was mainly, I think, from Canzano, who does seem like he's the one that's getting more information out. I know I was cautious with some of the numbers he was putting out early on. You'll hear why. I'll actually give the numbers now because I think they're much more realistic than some of that early speculating that was done. But right now they're saying the production credit is apparently where things are sticky right now. We know that the Pac-12 network is going to be producing most of the CW or probably all of the CW games. However, the CW is going to have several people at every game. So we'll have to wait and see exactly how that works out, how much of the Pac-12 network advertising are they actually going to get on screen and things like that. So apparently that's kind of the last piece that they need to get figured out. On our last episode, again, which was over 2 weeks ago, we had heard from A.D. Barnes, and he said they were in the extra innings, but they were this close, and that you're going to get it out soon. And that was 2 weeks ago. So yeah. I don't know what soon is, but we're not soon enough, I guess.
The thing about getting closer is you can just keep getting closer and closer and closer and closer, infinitely more closer until you're done. Right?
That's right. Apparently that's what we're in right now. So the other thing I want to just mention is the new rumors on the money that they're going to be receiving. The reporting right now is between $5 to $9 million per school. That sounds much more realistic than the early rumors that people were putting out there. And I'm down. I mean, I think right in the middle of that, it's $7 million. I think $7 million per school would be fantastic. You would think they would love that. You've heard them, and we've said this multiple times, that getting into as many households was the priority. It wasn't, am I going to get $7 or $8 million? It was, we want to have the biggest reach that we possibly can to try and get as many viewers as we possibly can. The CW obviously can do that. We talked about that last time. They're in like 99.5% of households in the U.S., whatever that is. So I think that's really important.
I agree with you, and let me just say, because they might have had some streaming opportunities where they may have gotten some more revenue, but then fans have to go and you have to have a package, you have to have an Apple subscription or this subscription, you have to go look for it on your Roku box, your Apple TV. This way, if they're on CW, they're on Fox, they're on your dial. When fans click through, they can see it right there in their guide.
If it's streaming, for the most part, you're going to find it. Right?
You have to make an effort.
You're not clicking through, hey, what games are on tonight? And yes, a lot of people still do that. I know times they are changing, but I can tell you at nighttime, I know my Mountain West games that are on, so I know what to look for. But if there's not a game on, what are the games on? And you just go through it. Oh, there it is. I'll watch them.
Absolutely.
So very, very important. The other thing that they mentioned, I guess there was I think it was a coach. They had said that apparently the quote was that it was good to see we'll have some noon and 3:30 Pacific starting times out there. Again, something that Wilner had talked about as extremely important was getting the earlier times. Don't have these 7 o'clock Pacific time, so the game's over, at whatever, 10 o'clock Pacific. It's past midnight in the East. Ain't nobody watching your highlights.
Just you and I at that point.
That's right. I would too. So if they have a few noon kickoffs, which would be out of the ordinary for them. I mean, there's not a lot of noon kickoffs on the West.
Yeah.
Now remember, noon is 3 o'clock on our side, so that's after the big noon kickoff for the Big 12. Everybody's getting going. So it was good to hear that they're going to have some noon and 3:30s on that as well. So let's get to good old Calimony, something you had talked about for quite a while, and that is the California Board of Regents is planning to require UCLA to pay $10 million to Cal's athletic department every year through the 29-30 season. That's through, I think, the current Big Ten media deal, right? That ends in 2030, I believe, is what I was reading. This is the maximum amount agreed to by the regents in late 2022. So news first broke, and you were on it at the time, and you're like, hey, they're going to make them pay Cal for, to be equal here, if you will, because they're going to get more money in the Big Ten. Original projections, as we said, was like $2 to $10 million. Well, they're at the very top end, and I think that's the headlines. You mentioned right before we came on. You're like, I'm not sure why this is a surprise for people. Well, A, they may not be following it like you have, and B, it's at the very top of what the people's estimates were. So when you hear an estimate of $2 to $10 million, you're probably thinking, oh, you're $5 or $6 million, and they're right at the top at 10. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know.
Yeah, so I have a comment for anybody who was surprised that this ended up at $10 million. No shit. Okay. Here's the thing. When you look at that revenue gap, and I think I saw Wilner post this. I think that TJ Altsmore made some posts. The revenue gap right away between UC Berkeley and Cal Berkeley and UCLA is going to be massive. I mean, it is massive, and this $10 million just covers a small. I mean, they posted a chart, and the gap is this big, and the $10 million only takes a little bit of that. Yeah. No kidding. Like this is a huge thing, and I'll just say one word of caution. And we were on this from the very beginning when the PAC started to break up. And so the ACC, the public schools, the Big Ten, the SEC out there, they should take note. When you mess with these public schools, the politicians, the government can get involved in this process, and they often will. Yeah. So it's something you have to keep in mind. And I think a lot of fans are like, oh, they could just make a deal. They can do this. You can make all kinds of deals that you want. But if you get the government involved, you get a governor, you get a legislature, you get a board that's appointed by politicians involved, they can do pretty much whatever they want. They can pass a new law as long as it meets the Constitution of the United States and their state constitution. Yep. So I just would say for fans and for those schools and those conferences, tread lightly and understand when you mess with the livelihood of these public schools, there can be repercustions, and we're seeing that play out here.
And look at North Carolina and Virginia.
Right.
They are, whether you like it or don't like it, what North Carolina, I'm going to focus on North Carolina because we've talked about them in several episodes. Whether you like it or you don't like it or you think they're playing politics, I would say they're actually trying to be, maybe I'm being too generous here, but proactive with this so that it doesn't get into this type of situation. It doesn't mean that they won't let a school leave the ACC and split between NC State, Duke, go to different conferences, but they want to do it responsibly. They want to do it under some sort of guidance that they're giving, not just willy-nilly, and then this type of thing can happen. So
you're totally spot on. And here's the thing: is the PAC, the California regions, they had to be a little reactive because this PAC stuff broke, in the original thing with UCLA and USC leaving. That broke, on the middle of the night in June, whatever, a couple years back. North Carolina, they're being, and again, whether you agree with it or not, they're being proactive because they saw what happened with the PAC and how that just collapsed. And you have one state school in California is going to end up rich and one is going to end up in the poor house. And so in North Carolina, they're trying to be proactive. Mm-hmm. We usually use proactive as a positive word. Maybe you think it's bad because they might hurt one of their schools, but they're proactively trying to protect all of the schools and all of the students that go to the different schools.
Right. They're protecting their state board of education and the schools within that state board.
Their citizens, their constituent, the taxpayer dollars, taxpayer interest, public interest. They're doing all that.
Yep, agree. The last thing I'll just point out, the regents did say that if there is a significant change in revenues or expenses for either campus, and I think they quantified that as 10%, that the contribution commitment will return to the regents for further evaluation and potential action. So we'll see what happens here. 10 million sounds like a lot, but a few years from now, it could be even more than $10 million. Who knows?
Right, and again, that gap is just going to grow. The Big Ten and the SEC are making more and more money. They're getting a larger piece of the pie from the college football playoff now.
Right.
They're getting bigger and bigger contracts. We have no idea this Calford. Yeah, they're partnered with the ACC right now. How's that going to work out? Is the ACC even going to exist in a year or two? Who knows? They might be in the West Coast Conference in a couple of years, and the Big Ten is going to be leaving them farther and farther in their mirror as far as revenue. UCLA leaving Cal farther and farther in the revenue, pulling farther ahead of them.
Right, absolutely. So we'll keep an eye on that. The other thing I just want to point out is the CBS Sports I saw did an ACC ranking, way too early ranking as they are right now. They had your buddies Stanford, our buddies Stanford, in last, 17 out of 17. They had Cal actually 8 out of 17, so they got them right in the middle of the pack here. And they actually mentioned they have a very strong portal class. I think they had ranked it like 4th in the ACC for Cal. And then the other newcomer, SMU, 7th out of 17. So 2 of the newcomers right there in the middle of the pack, but Stanford just crapping the bed there towards the end. And I'll let you say what you said off camera.
Yeah, the thing about Stanford is, and I've poo-pooed Stanford a few times in different things that we've done. Yeah. Stanford, their administration, they don't care about football. They just don't. They came out publicly and said a few years back when there was the SAT scandal and all this stuff, they wanted to de-emphasize sports, which I get it. We both work in academics in a certain way. I get it. There are people who are sick of big-time college athletics taking over what it's supposed to be. Students going to school get a great education. And the Stanford administration, they just do not care really about football and about sports. Compared to other, they care, but they're not compared to like SEC, Big Ten, and these other places. So they've kind of let and you've made a great point. Stanford's a fine academic institution. They have a great athletic department when you look at it in the whole. Yes. They have volleyball. They have all these great programs that are doing well. But they're just not that concerned with football and being a powerhouse in football. Right. The funny thing is Cal is almost the reverse. Cal is also a fine academic institution. They've actually tried, I would say, more in football, and that's probably why they haven't fallen quite as far. Yeah. They just haven't been good at it. They've just been inept. They've tried, but not been good at it. So it doesn't surprise me. And really, to me, that's the difference with Stanford, because you could see the way Stanford was in football and sports 10, 12 years ago, they would have made a great Big Ten partner.
Right.
But if they don't care about sports, they're not investing in sports. I don't see them ever getting an invite to the top 2. They just won't make an attractive partner anymore. And I just don't know how this ACC thing is going to go.
Yeah, we'll find out. We're gonna keep an eye on it. We've said we're going to obviously stay on the Beavs and Cougs, but I am anxious to see what happens as the PAC, the old PAC members join their other conferences to see how that actually plays out over the next couple of years, especially these ACC ones, because of everything that's going on with the ACC. Big 12's much more, the ones that are joining the Big 12, much more stable right now. Yeah. They're not going to have an issue with like losing their conference here in the next couple of years.
And the distance isn't so far.
Right, exactly. So, anyway, 2 last items that we did talk about on the Mountain West episode we just did yesterday, but I want to bring them up because we're talking about the PAC-2 teams here. The first one, President Navarez for the Mountain West was asked about the football schedule with the Beavs and the Cougs. She said everything's ready to go. Really just view these from the Mountain West side of things as non-conference games. Obviously, we already know about that. The PAC will still operate. They're officiating, their operations. We know about the Pac-12 network. We talked about all of that. So at this point, it's just like it's a partnership. We're going to see how it goes. I don't think there's much more to say about that moving forward. We're focused on trying to get the Beavs and Cougs a daggone media deal to be settled for them, which I think is coming very, very soon. They just can't seem to get that last T crossed. The other one I want to mention is the Washington State University affiliate membership with the Mountain West for both baseball and for women's swimming. This happened in mid-April, about a month ago. Washington State will become this affiliate member, and they will be for the next 2 academic years, so both 24-25 and 25-26, and they will be eligible for the Mountain West postseason and for all the awards and accolades and things that players can receive there. So for baseball, this actually takes the Mountain West to 8 teams. So that includes Air Force, Fresno State, Nevada, New Mexico, San Diego State, San Jose State, UNLV, and of course the Cougs now. And for women's swimming, it takes them up to 10 schools. And Washington State sent 2 swimmers to the NCAA championships here this past year. They actually had an All-American with Emily Lundgren, the first one there since 2007. So, you know, getting a little deeper into the Mountain West here, Steve. At least the Cougs are getting a little deeper into the Mountain West. We'll see what continues with that. So yeah, that's where things are at. It was time to do another PAC update, so we got one out. Yep. Anything you want to add before we get out of here?
Yeah, I'm really interested to see. You know, we feel for the Beavs and Cougs. They've gotten the short end of the stick with all this conference realignment. It's just been crazy. So you know, I'm excited to see for them over the next couple years how. I think they have good leadership in the conference. I've been consistent about that. Yeah. And so, you know, I'm rooting for all the Beavs and the Cougs, not just their football programs, but all of their programs. Those athletes, they didn't deserve any of this to happen to them. So I wish them, you know, just continued success, and you know, the swimming programs, the baseball programs, all of those programs, basketball. And you know, I'm just looking forward to watching them over the next couple of years. I'm watching them play Mountain West teams. I think it's going to be fun. Yep. And what other games that they've been able to schedule, and I'll be rooting for the Beavs and the Cougs, and you know, I'm just excited to see what the future holds.
Yep, for sure. I'm ready for football season, but I got 3 more months to wait, so I'm a little over. Anyway, hey, we thank you guys for watching. Make sure you give this one a like, subscribe if you like our content. We do everything Mountain West. We do everything Big Ten. We do live episodes every Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern. I know that's 5:30 Pacific. Makes it a little tough for our Beavs and Cougs fans out there on the West Coast. But if you can turn us on your drive home, whatever the case may be, pop in, say hello. We love to have comments and interaction with all of our viewers. I know we have some regulars we love to see on here. So with that, hey, we thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time on the Big Mountain.